final story, we'll see that a priest was just removed from ministry because of his pro-life views. According to the AP, anti-abortion priest Pavone was defrocked for blasphemous posts. Now, this is how you know this was a news outlet like the AP. It's called he's called an anti-abortion priest rather than a pro-life priest. So this is always like, if you reject the Respect for Marriage Act, you're an anti-gay homophobe rather than somebody who believes in traditional marriage. But nonetheless, Pavone was defrocked for what was considered blasphemous posts. So I want to real quick jump into the article for a moment and show you exactly why this priest was removed from his priestly duties. So it says this: the Vatican has defrocked an anti-abortion U.S. priest, Frank Pavone, for what it said were blasphemous communications on social media as well as persistent disobedience. Now that sounds pretty bad, right? You know, blasphemous posts on social media and persistent disobedience. So you think to yourself, maybe this guy started like doing something like this on social media.
May God make her face to shine upon you.
Maybe he started posting things about, like, you know, homosexuality on social media. Maybe he did stuff like this.
Trans people are divine, and transphobia is a sin.
Maybe just one other. Maybe he was posting things like this. This would be bad.
Do I believe in a literal second coming of Jesus Christ? No, I do not believe in the literal second coming of Jesus Christ. To be honest with you, I think the second coming of Christ is you and me. We are the living body of Christ.
But if you guessed it was none of those things, you would be right. It had nothing to do with false doctrine or being a heretic. It actually had to do with the fact that he was posting things on social media of a pro-life nature. Now, he did post things of a pro-life nature that were very drastic. So he posted a picture of a dead fetus on the altar of his Catholic church back in 2016. And he apparently didn't make due penance enough for this drastic step. Now, some of you may think to yourself, well, that's horrific. How could you do such a thing? I would remind you that way more horrific than the posting of that picture would be the actual aborting of millions of babies each year. I know you don't like to be confronted with it, and I know you don't like to see it, but let's be moral people for just a second. Let's pretend, if you will. The aborting of these babies on a regular basis in places like Planned Parenthood, now that is real blasphemy. But apparently this priest was not repentant enough for posting this pro-life post. But if that wasn't bad enough, he also he participated in persistent disobedience. And what did that persistent disobedience look like? Well, the article goes on to tell us. His bishop repeatedly told him to stop his partisan activism for Donald Trump. So let's get this right. This priest was defrocked, humiliated publicly, and removed from office because he posted something pro-life on social media of a startling nature, and he endorsed Donald Trump. Now, I can think of about a billion other things, historical and contemporary, that would be worse than that. But this is why Catholics are always the bad guys in movies, because the fact that they would defrock this priest for actually standing up for Catholic beliefs is just par for the course far too often. And if you're a Catholic, I hope you know I'm not being disparaging, even though I'm a good fundamentalist evangelical, and some might even call a Christian nationalist. I still believe that the Catholic Church has its place and is important to the world. But so often they get it wrong. I mean, look at this Pew Research poll that told us that about 7 in 10 Catholics say abortion should be legal if the pregnant woman's life or health is threatened. That's about 69% of people. So let's get this right. So if you are pregnant and your life could be threatened, 69% of Catholics believe that you should be able to abort your baby. So close to 70% there. Now, it might not surprise some of you to realize that the idea that a woman has to kill her baby in order to save her life is a total misnomer. That may come as a surprise to you, but it actually is. Now, of course, in the process of saving the woman's life and attempting to save the baby's life, you might kill the baby, but you never have to intentionally abort a baby. Medical science has brought us to the point now where the life of the mother is no longer really a concern. Now, I've done enough on the show to actually prove this point, so hopefully you know at this point in time that the whole life of mother issue was completely fabricated out of whole cloth, and the Guttmacher Institute had to eventually admit to this. It's so unscientifically based and so unquantifiable as to not exist. But the Pew Research poll goes on and gets worse. And it says, and 2/3 say it should be legal if the pregnancy is the result of rape. So not many fewer think that the baby should be punished for the actions of a rapist. And at the same time, roughly 2/3 of Catholics say how long a woman has been pregnant should be a factor in determining abortion's legality. So 63% of Catholics say that you should be able to abort your baby dependent upon how long you've been pregnant. Now, this is far from Catholic belief or Christian belief, but it is what so very often we have become in our current age, where we allow the culture to be much more shaping to us than we are to it. But I hope Christmas is a time where we see the world stops and it celebrates a Christian holiday. Now, sure, the Christian influence on the culture and how Christian Christmas truly is has been, the culture's done a really good job of stripping that. But I also believe that the culture can't get away from some of the positivity and the light and the meaning of Christmas as hard as they try. There's just something special about this holiday. So as much as they would like to try to destroy all of the important things about Christmas, the gift giving, the lights on the tree, and all of those things that are Christian symbols, they can't. If we will stop trying to be so much like the culture, we can actually change it. And this reminds me, not just because I got done talking about Catholicism, but because it's a part of history. Protestantism has a pretty rich history of doing this, and specifically Martin Luther. Martin Luther, it is said, was the one who popularized decorating the Christmas tree. He just loved Christmas time, and he loved the pine trees, and he loved the snow, that he supposedly chopped down a pine tree, brought it into his house, and then was the very first person to ever decorate a Christmas tree with lights. Now, they did this in the most ridiculous way you could possibly think of. They put candlesticks on an actual tree. I know, crazy. But nonetheless, he decorated the Christmas tree because he wanted to use these symbols of life and Jesus and hope to infuse the Christmas celebration with a deeper sense of what it was really all about. And we too, with a passion for truth, can make a difference if we'll do more than just hate the culture or just mimic the culture, but start creating our own culture and start creating a culture of life, regardless of the extortion of the left and how we are supposed to believe that anybody who is pro-life just doesn't care about the plight of women. Actually, the opposite is exactly the truth. That people who are pro-life not only care about the plight of women, they care about the plight of little women in the womb. They care about the plight of future women who deserve the right to celebrate Christmas just like we do. And so I suggest that we turn our eyes away from so much of the negativity that can surround us, regardless of what Christmas may bring for us, and we celebrate life. And then, if we're so inclined, go beyond Christmas and celebrate life every day of your life, and ensure that there are others who are less fortunate than you that can also do it as well. And specifically, those children in the womb who deserve to have a right to celebrate Christmas just like you and I. And as we stand for life, I believe that it will make a huge difference on the way our culture celebrates this Christmas and every Christmas moving forward. So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video. So you definitely need to check that out, because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Indie Thinker come your way. Thanks for watching.